Hello everybody and welcome back to JJ Painting. It's been a very long time since I last uploaded a video. I am fully aware of that. Sorry about that for any of you who've been waiting a whole year to see where I've been. I've had many people messaging me and all one of them said, when are you going to upload a video? And I told my friend Peter, when I feel like it. So first of all, welcome back if you've been here before. If you've not been here before, what do we do on this channel? Well, I guess we'll find out together really. I do have some plans actually going into 2023 for what I want to do, so there will be more content, not just this video. But I am back now and it has been a while since I last uploaded, so if you are new to the channel, what we do on this channel here is we talk about the hobby. Sometimes it's about the lore, sometimes it's about painting, and there'll be a bit more gameplay stuff in here I think this time, because I've been playing a lot more 40k over the last year, which we'll get to in a second actually, and I will share all that with you in a little bit. But anyway, so let's start off with, where have I been? Okay, so where did I go in 2022? I had other things to do throughout last year. Now, that isn't meant to sound snobby. If it does, I do apologise. But as some of you may know, I also work in theatre. And when I started the channel in 2020 and throughout 2021, obviously all the theatres were closed due to the pandemic. So whilst I was able to make lots of content in those years, for this channel specifically, I also didn't get to make any theatre in that time as well. So when it came time to start going back into theatre at the beginning of last year, it was a choice of either working quite hard again on my theatre career for the year or making YouTube content, and I chose theatre. At first I did think I'd be able to balance it out, but between working on theatre and doing painting and other life pieces, I wasn't able to spend any time on YouTube, unfortunately. I did have ideas for videos, which maybe one day I will revisit, but I didn't actually make any new content whatsoever. But hey ho, that's just how things go sometimes, unfortunately. And I do regret a little bit not telling you guys that I wasn't going to be doing anything for a while. I wish I had made a short video, even if it had just been 60 seconds, just to say I'm not going to be around, but I didn't, and I do regret that. But I wanted to let you guys know that's what I was doing work-wise. But that's not to say I was out the hobby, far from it, in fact. I was actually more engaged in it in 2022 in some ways than I was in 21 or 2020. I actually spent a lot of the time playing 40k, I spent a bit of time playing Sigma, I kept painting, I observed all the new releases in 2022, which is something I will definitely make a video about, and I played through all of the Warzone books, Octarius, Nephilim, Necromund, and now Arcs of Omen, which is the new one, which I'm sure have been covered elsewhere, but I will give them my spin at some point as well, because I do think they're worth talking about on this channel. So that's what I will be doing in the upcoming videos. So the first thing I probably will be focusing on again is a lot of the stuff that was similar to what I was doing before 2022, where I was doing a lot of stuff about painting and some lore bits and pieces, and I will be doing reviews again as well of the novels, because I really did enjoy doing those. I really like those, and I think I will definitely be doing some more novel reviews. I'll be doing the Siege of Terror books, and the Dawn of Fire series has really come into its own, so I will be looking at that a little bit. So I will be doing a lot of the Indomitus era content, and I will also be looking more at gameplay as well, because one thing I did know in the year or so of playing 40k is that my head was stuck quite firmly in 6th edition and 7th edition and 5th edition, which were the editions I knew really well going into 9th, but obviously 9th is nothing like those whatsoever, and it was a real learning curve for me actually playing as much 40k as I did last year, especially when I was playing the armies that you see behind me, which are obviously Drakari and Death Guard. And yes, some of you've probably been wondering, Josh, why are those things in the background of your videos? I mean, yeah, it's nice to have some decoration, but the reason they're there is because, as you guys know, I'm a Death Guard player at heart. Death Guard is one of my main armies, but in the last year as well, I also started Drakari at long last as well, and I was actually able to paint that army up in a much more timely manner than my Death Guard, and a far more timely manner than my AOS Slaves to Darkness army, which if you watch my Age of Sigmarch videos from 2021, some of you will have known it took me about 10-15 years to paint my Chaos Knights. But anyway, that's all in the past now, and this army only took me a year to paint. Very happy I did not have to leave it until I was in my mid-40s to finish. But anyway, that's just beside the point. So yes, Drakari was my newest army and the newest addition to what I call my 9th edition armies. I still have a couple of armies from 4 times, but now I definitely have an army of 9th edition. But as I said, a new Drakari army, and that was very interesting. I've played enough games with it now to get a good sense as to what it's like. They've all gone relatively well. I've learned a lot. They're a very different army to Death Guard, but I will be making videos on how they contrast, because I do feel the two of them really do contrast really well against each other, and they do actually have very different play styles, obviously, but they're also very different in some some other far more subtle ways that you wouldn't really notice unless you played them both. So what does all this mean in terms of new content that I was talking about earlier? Well, with the new army has obviously brought new perspectives, and I do want to, as I said, do a bit more videos on the gameplay side of things as well, because I think they were a little bit unspecific last time. And I did watch some of my old videos before I started doing this one, just to get a sense as to what I was doing before. And whilst there were some videos on there which I thought, well, not bad, there are others which I think I can build upon now. So in terms of gameplay content, I will try to be more specific, but I will try to avoid using a lot of the meta terminology which you hear elsewhere. So I've got this thing which I've recently been thinking about quite closely, which is the power creep, which I did do a video on last year, or the year before rather, and how it isn't really a thing, but I think I can expand upon that more specifically now, and some other tips in terms of playing 9th edition overall. But the other thing I want to say is I will be doing a retrospective of 9th edition overall, and we can really take a measure as to what that means for 9th edition and do a proper retrospective video on it in preparation for 10th, which is apparently coming this year, and some of the rumours that have been circulating around it. I don't know if I'll go into those because I'm not massively interested in rumours personally, but who knows, we might do. The other thing I want to be doing, as I said, is more book reviews, so we'll be going back into the territory of the Siege of Terror books, and I'm probably doing a bit more of a deep dive into them in terms of how the Siege of Terror differs as well from the Horus Heresy series at large, but also how the Horus Heresy series and the Siege of Terror books have changed over the years, because obviously they've been around for over 10 years now. So it's worth looking at how this series that has more than 10 authors have actually managed to evolve one narrative in that decade and a half's worth of time these books have been around. And then the last thing I will attempt to do, maybe, I don't know if this is going to go ahead just yet, but I do want to do something with March from a Crag, because obviously March is a couple of weeks away, and I might do a video about the Ultramarines, or a couple of videos in the Ultramarines in March time. That seems a fitting theme. I might not. It depends entirely if anyone wants to see that or not. I mean, if there's one thing everyone knows is the Ultramarines don't have nearly enough content about them around already. You know, it's not like they have an entire film about them, and they didn't front video games, and they're not on the front of every single Space Marine Codex since 3rd edition. You know, it's not like they've already had those things. But anyway, who knows? We might see more. We might see more of them. But those are the things I want to do. So, just to give you guys all a quick summary as to what will be coming around in the next year or so for my YouTube channel, is going to be more gameplay tips and tricks, some lore videos, some retrospective videos, some reviews, basically all the stuff I was doing last time around, maybe with a few extra things here and there thrown in. I will try to upload as regularly as possible. It might only be every 2 weeks, because I remember there was a point I had 2 videos a week, which was great, but I had more time on my hands back then. But now I don't have as much time, so I will try to at least upload every 2 weeks, and I will do my best to keep to that schedule as much as I possibly can. And if there are things that you would like to see with the JJ spin put on them, and that is the most cringeworthy thing I've said on this channel, to date, I think, unless there's a more cringeworthy moment, put that in the comments. But if you would like to see me address certain things or certain topics, then please do let me know, and I will endeavour to do a video on them. But otherwise, thanks very much for joining, thanks very much for coming back if you're an old viewer, thanks for joining us, and welcome to the channel if you're new. Like, subscribe, all that good YouTube shilly stuff. As I said, we will attempt to have videos every 2 weeks. Check out the links below to things like my Instagram for the models I paint, the website I've got for my commission services, that's still a thing I do, and obviously just my Instagram if you just want to see some pictures of toys I painted over the years. But thank you all very much for joining me, and let's see how this year goes. Goodbye, have a lovely day, and a happy new-ish year. Thank you, Michaela's back, so he did. We need to do our part 2 on that, by the way, don't we? Gaunt's Ghosts, Drunken Explain part 2, that'll be fun. That's well overdue.